beautiful friends. Welcome back to 365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Arlene Geres, and I am so glad that you are here. Please remember to listen right until the very end because we have a special treat for you. And if you enjoyed today's video, please click like and subscribe below because this helps others to find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is Lesson 21. I am determined to see things differently. Let's read the lesson. The idea for today is obviously a continuation and extension of the preceding one. This time, however, specific mind-searching periods are necessary in addition to applying the idea to particular situations as they arise. 5 practice periods are urged, allowing a full minute for each. Let's talk about it. Today's idea is obviously a continuation of yesterday's. I am determined to see, in which we were learning how to think with the mind of God versus thinking with the ego. Let's keep reading. In the practice periods, begin by repeating the idea to yourself. Then close your eyes and search your mind carefully for situations past, present, or anticipated that arouse anger in you. The anger may take the form of any reaction ranging from mild irritation to rage. The degree of the emotion you experience does not matter. You will become increasingly aware that a slight twinge of annoyance is nothing but a veil drawn over intense fury. Wow, there's a lot here. We're going to discuss the practice periods at the end, but it is important to note that the Course in Miracles generally spends about equal amount of time talking about the practice periods as it does talking about the lesson for the day. The reason for this is that if we are consistent with our practice periods, the power of these lessons is going to bear fruit in our lives. It is really an encouragement for us to be consistent, to be diligent, to be disciplined, because that is how we're going to see these miracles in our lives. Let's keep reading. Try, therefore, not to let the little thoughts of anger escape you in the practice periods. Remember that you do not really recognize what arouses anger in you, and nothing that you believe in this connection means anything. You will probably be tempted to dwell more on some situations or persons than on others, on the fallacious grounds that some are more obvious. This is not so. It is merely an example of the belief that some forms of attack are more justified than others. Let's talk about it. The previous paragraph said that the degree of the emotion you experience does not matter. And then in the next paragraph it says, try not to let the little thoughts of anger escape you. Just as in all of our previous practices, we want to include everything from the smallest to the largest because they all make a difference. If we have even a little bit of anger in us, then we are going to be blocked from seeing the true love of God. If it's something that is just too big, something that we think, oh, I just can't let this go, I've got to hold on to this, then we are hurting ourselves. You will probably be tempted to dwell more on some situations or persons than on others. This is a reminder that we subconsciously want to eliminate some of these things we don't want to look at in our ego self. We want to hold on to some things while others we are willing to let go of. This lesson is encouraging us to look at all of them and not to dwell on one more than any of the others. Let's continue to read. As you search your mind for all the forms in which attack thoughts present themselves, hold each one in mind while you tell yourself, I am determined to see, name a person, differently. I am determined to see, specify the situation differently. Some of the attack thoughts that I struggle with are things like, that person cut me off in traffic, or it's been 3 days and that person didn't return my phone call, or, oh, here's a big one, being kept on call waiting. We had a terrible time trying to get to Mexico this year. The airline canceled our flight, and it took us 2 days to get through. I'm telling you, I had some attack thoughts. But with the help of these lessons, I was able to recognize it immediately that I'm only hurting myself and to let those go. I am willing to see the airline differently. Doesn't mean that I ever want to book with them again, but I am able to send them peace and joy and love. Let's keep reading. Try to be as specific as possible. You may, for example, focus your anger on a particular attribute of a particular person, believing that the anger is limited to this aspect. If your perception is suffering from this form of distortion, say, I am determined to see, specify the attribute in name of person differently. An example of this would be, I have terrible judgment around people that hog time in a meeting. I was taught to be very considerate of other people's time and to consider how many people might be present in the meeting that might want to speak and not to take any more than my allotted time. Oh, those birds are having a good time at the feeder today. Hello. Hello. Where's my phone? The minute I reach for my phone, they fly away. Not to worry, there's going to be many more opportunities. I find myself judging people. A Course in Miracles has taught me that judgment is my problem, not the other person's. I might say, I am determined to see this tendency to go on and on and on in name of person differently. This is my problem. It is not their problem. And when I recognize that I'm responsible for the way I see things, then I can change that. I don't have to hold on to these little resentments or big resentments. I can see things differently. Another example is that sometimes I get a little bit frustrated that I have so much to do, and yet I create things to do. So an example might be making the bed. I actually really enjoy making the bed. But if I'm in a hurry and there's so many other things that I want to get done in my day, I feel a little pang of resentment. This lesson tells me to say, I can see making the bed differently. And what came to me this morning after I had prepared this lesson and I was making the bed was, I get to make the bed. I am so grateful that I have this bed to make. I'm so grateful that I have a husband sleeping on the other side of that bed, messing up the other side of the bed. I get to make the bed. Let's talk about our practice periods. We are encouraged to take 5 practice periods today. Once again, morning, just before going to sleep, and 3 more throughout the day at a time that works best for you. I find that it really helps to schedule these in advance, to put the reminder into my phone. Now, how are they telling us to do these practice periods? First, we repeat the idea to ourselves. I am determined to see things differently. Then, we're asked to close our eyes and just think of anything in the past, the present, or what we think might happen in the future, and to let that emotion of anger come to the surface. And then to say, I am determined to see the name of a certain politician differently. I am determined to see my next door neighbor differently. I am determined to see that person in the meeting differently. I am determined to see my partner differently. I am determined to see my child differently. I am determined to see my job differently. The list can go on and on. When we are determined to see differently, to see through the eyes of God, we will be given that incredible gift, and all of these feelings of anger will leave us. Isn't that exciting? Thanks so much for staying right until the end. Are you ready for our special treat?
Oh, look at this.
I am determined to see things differently. Have a glorious day, my friends. Be determined to see things differently, and you will. I love you.